Hi guys, in this session we are going to talk about the Spring Framework Introduction Part 7. Previous session we have discussed about the plain Java application. In that application we have talked about restaurant class, grocery shop class and vegetable shop class. Restaurant is a dependent class and grocery shop and vegetable shop are the dependencies of restaurant class. In the last session we have introduced a parameterized constructor and we passed the vegetable shop object and grocery shop object to the parameterized constructor of restaurant as a arguments. In this application we are going to see how Spring Framework uses dependency injection for this application to solve the problem of this application. So here we are going to see the restaurant class. In this restaurant class we can see two properties. So restaurant is a bean basically, so it has two properties. One is Cobalt Provision Store, which is of type grocery shop, and another is Murugan Vegetable Mart, which is of type vegetable shop. And this class has a parameterized constructor. This restaurant is a parameterized constructor. It takes two parameters, one is grocery shop and vegetable shop. These objects are assigned to these properties. Okay, so now we are going to see how we define beans for these classes in application context.xml. So in application context.xml we define the beans. So first we define the bean for grocery shop and the bean ID is Gobal Provision Store. Next we define the bean for the vegetable shop, its ID is Murugan Vegetables, and we have defined the bean for the restaurant class and its ID is Bhavan. Okay, so now we are going to define the constructor, and we are going to define the constructor and we are going to define the dependencies of this restaurant bean. We are going to define the dependencies, that is grocery shop and vegetable shop are the dependencies of restaurant, and we are going to inject these dependencies through the constructor. So we have defined this way: constructor arg reference equal to Gobal Provision Store. This is the ID. So this is the bean ID for grocery shop. So same way Murugan Vegetables is the ID for the vegetable shop, bean ID for the vegetable shop. So we use dependency injection here. So that means when the Spring container sees these bean definitions, first it creates the bean object for the grocery shop, next it creates the object for vegetable shop, then when it creates the object for restaurant class, it calls the parameterized constructor of restaurant class and pass these two objects to the constructor, that is grocery shop and vegetable shop object will be passed to the constructor of the restaurant class by the Spring container. So passing these dependencies through this constructor is called dependency injection. Particularly it is called constructor based injection. Now we are going to see the main class. This is my main class. So in this class I have created the Spring container. So class path XML application context is the Spring container, and we create the object for this container by passing the string application context.xml string to the constructor of class path application context. So I have created the object for the class path XML application context. Next I call the method getBean and I am passing the bean ID Bhavan. So that is what the ID we have given in the definition for the bean definition for the restaurant class. Now we pass this ID to this getBean method and also we pass restaurant.class. This will give us the restaurant object. Then I call this serveMeal method. So in this application, in this example, we have seen what is dependency injection and how Spring Framework uses the dependency injection to send the objects, bean objects, that is the dependencies, to the restaurant class. So this is how Spring simplifies the Java development by instead of the class creates the object, its own object, Spring container creates the dependencies objects and it injects through the constructor based injection. So with this we are going to run this example also. So I run this example by right clicking this main.java and click run as Java application. So now the application runs. So I got the same output which I got it when I was running a simple Java application. So I got inside default constructor of grocery shop. This comes from the default constructor. Since we have a text, we printed a text in the default constructor of grocery shop. Same way, inside default constructor of vegetable shop is printed by from the default constructor of vegetable shop. Then since the Spring container calls the parameterized constructor of restaurant, inside parameterized constructor of restaurant is printed. Then groceries supplied, vegetables supplied, these are printed from supply vegetables, supply groceries and supply vegetables respectively. Then meal is prepared is printed. Then finally meal is served is printed. So with this, the Spring framework introduction was over. So next we will meet in the session, the Spring core session. Until then, bye from Java Natha.